All right, everyone. You know what time it is. It is Mock Draft Monday. Mondays usually aren't the best day of the week, but somehow we managed to make them pretty okay around here. So I'm, as always, joined by my guy Corey here. Corey, how are you doing today?
It is going. It is going. Mock Draft Mondays.
Woo! Yeah, I'm feeling about the same. Want to real quick just say hey to some of the folks who are in the chat. We got Classy Nasty with the side eyes here. We've got Elowin5 talking about some of the moves, potential moves for Cooks. I know there's been talk that he's on Brandon Cooks on the trading block. So some chat about that. We have Mark Jackson, the guy in here. What's up, Mark? Appreciate you being here. I know there's some other folks coming into the stream. So we're going to do what we do on Mock Draft Monday, which is talk about some players, talk about some mock drafts, and things like that. Hey, what's up, B Red C Red? Appreciate you being here. And happy birthday to Red C. That's right. Your birthday was this last week, was it?
It was last Tuesday. Yes.
Awesome. Happy birthday. We're both March birthdays. So
Yes, I am an Aries.
it is the best month, but I'm biased. We got Nick in here. What's up, Nick? Thank you for being here. JP's in the house. What's up, JP? Appreciate you being here. So I want to start out with something we've kind of started out with the last couple weeks. And I want to ask you, and have any of the moves the Cardinals have made or any rumors of players are interested in, is there anything that in the news that you think is noteworthy that has changed your thinking in terms of mock drafts at all?
We still remain silent, so not really.
Mm-hmm.
The signings today, or the signing and then the visit today, might have an impact on my draft next week because if we land Darrell Williams, I don't know if I'll go running back at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if the tight end from LA, I don't know much about him. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's him and a rookie for the third tight end spot, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, payout time. I do have your mock draft, and it is locked and loaded, and we will be getting to that momentarily. We promise to be kind.
Maybe.
Sure, we will. No,
Maybe.
but yeah. Let me real quick say hey to
Undecided.
some. Yeah, Facundo Morrissey. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here. Let's go. We got Nick Gregg. I know there've been a lot of chatter about Calais Campbell. I know a lot of fans would like to see him back. I haven't heard any official reports. Listen, I would like to have him back. I think he fills a need on the interior defensive line. The question is when and the price, but yeah. So I've heard a little bit of that. Jordan P, what is up? Appreciate you being here. Yeah, I think they did sign a tight end who seems to be a guy who's kind of that third string, as a special teamer. To me, he seems like a replacement for Darrell Daniels, right? That the kind of the tight end that
I forgot we didn't bring him back.
yeah. So I think he's maybe a replacement for him, and that move doesn't mean they won't draft a tight end, but the idea that they might, if they take one, maybe they take it later now. I think there was some thought that maybe that, I know they don't have that 5th round pick right now, fourth, but like there was some thought that they might move up and down the board and get a pick in round 4 or 5. Cause some of the tight ends, I think that were linked to them were kind of somewhere between rounds 3 and 5 type of players. But signing that tight end might mean they're not going to do that. We'll see. But they still might take one later. Also, Corey had to step away for a second. I think that they saw they've met with a receiver, Malik Turner, but they didn't sign him. But he seemed more like a special teams guy. And then there's also reports that they met with Darrell Williams, running back from Kansas City. They haven't signed him as of yet, but he seems like he's very much a very similar back to Chase Edmonds in terms of what he brings to the table. So, if they do sign him, maybe that means they don't have to look at a running back, and maybe they don't look at a running back, because they have, if they sign him, they'll have Williams, Connor, Benjamin,
in theory, Jonathan Ward.
Jonathan Ward, so maybe they don't. We'll see, right? And then there's been some word that they like cornerback Trent McDuffie. They like those Washington cornerbacks, and they probably have to move up to get him. I think a lot of people like him.
Maybe, I don't know.
It sounds like he's a guy that people really like. I think teams do really like him. So I'd be surprised if he's there, but who knows, right? So
One
maybe
thing for certain, two things for sure. We will draft someone from Washington, and we will draft a linebacker.
Yeah, and I think with between McDuffie and reports that they like Jalen Petre, and I know not necessarily everyone likes him, but I didn't think they were going to be looking cornerback early because of the signing of Gladney, but maybe they do, so we'll see. Anyway, there's a number of other things, but those were some of my thinking. Let me real quick say, hey, Chris Young, thanks for being here. Appreciate you showing up. So let's get to one of the things we kind of start out with, which is where we each profile some players that, I think might be interesting possibilities for the Cardinals at positions of need, or just players that we think are interesting. So I'm going to let you get started, and you are going to talk about George Pickens, the receiver out of Georgia. So get us all learned about George Pickens.
Sorry, just a little background noise, but
that's right.
George Pickens, basically, we lost AJ Green. George Pickens' comp is AJ Green, only prime AJ Green, when AJ Green dominated the league, along with Des Bryant and OBJ and Hopkins, who's on our team. But long story short, big receiver, 200 pounds, 6'3", but can move.
Mm-hmm.
Not the most fluid of route runner, but competitive toughness, great hands. Just wins the 50-50 contested catches. Just dominant over the middle, over the top. Just would be that one missing piece that we don't have right now with minus the big receiver, and he would just make Antoine Wesley look bad. Even though as much as I love Antoine Wesley, he would make him look really bad.
Yeah. Let me real quick say hey to Cardinals jumped in. Williams is a good running back. Connor, I don't know if I'd say injury is inevitable if they manage workload, but they definitely need it. They need a timeshare to prevent an injury, right? At minimum. We got Aaron Van Buren. No more Washington players, please. They've got they're nope. Good. They're stocked up on them, right? But
funny how some of the three best players on our defense are from Washington.
Right? Yeah. So they seem to like him from there. Real quick, want to say hey to Aiden, who really, he really wants Treylon Burks. I hear you. A lot of Cardinals fans really do. And we got Shad Cards Talk. Love Pickens, even at 23, very underrated route runner. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he ran a 4.47 40, so he's got decent speed. He's not a burner, but that's good speed for 6'3" receiver.
6'3", 200. That's really good speed.
Yeah, for a guy that size, you're looking 4.5 is kind of what you're usually kind of looking at. So he's got a little bit of juice. People say he has wide receiver one upside, but the problem is he was injured, right? That's his biggest drawback in college, and that's he'd probably be a first rounder. He had a really good rookie season, graded like 80 something, like 80 in the upper 80s, and then struggled a little bit after an injury, and didn't play a full season last year. So he's a guy who showed some potential early on, and I think there's going to be teams that are going to go after him. But these are the kinds of players who go in round 3, right? And sometimes round 2, players who have the potential, have the skill set of first round players, but have some knock on them, whether it's injury off the field or something. In this case, it's an injury. But if you can get him in day 2, I think he'll probably go late round 2, but he might go into round 3. So if you can get him there, and the upside is worth taking a shot for sure. The one other knock I saw about him in some of the scouting reports is, he has really good ball skills, but he's not necessarily the most physical receiver. Some of the scouting reports say maybe he might, need to add a little bit of strength in terms of getting bullied. But very few players don't have a flaw of any kind. So if the Cardinals don't go receiver in the first round, if they go some other position, offensive line or cornerback, and they go edge rush in round 2, if they can find a way to get him Pickens in round 3, or maybe even move around the board a little bit and get him, move up to late round 2 or early round 3 and get him, that would be a really nice option at receiver, right? So yeah. I'm going to talk about real quick, and Aaron, thanks for reminding everyone. Yeah, please do me a favor and click like on the video. Definitely appreciate that. That really helps a lot with the algorithm kind of promoting our video or helping people find out about the channel. The player I'm going to talk about is Cole Strange. He's from a small school, Tennessee, Chattanooga. He played guard in college, but took snaps at center at the Senior Bowl. And he's 6'5", 307. He ran just a little over a 5-second 40-yard dash, which 5.0 something, which is pretty good. For a guy, for an offensive lineman. So he ran. It was a 5.03. Did 31 reps on the bench press, so that's decent strength. Despite having kind of a lean frame, 6'5", 307. He is better suited to zone schemes. He's a guy who can really get out there and move in the screen game, and has good quickness and mobility. Not necessarily going to be a mauler, but he's not totally weak either. So, I think he'd be an interesting player if they could get him in round 3. Maybe, he's probably a late day 2 pick, I think. Maybe slips into round 4 depending, but I think he's a guy who's probably somewhere in round 3. So, he's an interesting name, in terms of someone who could be a guard and or center for them at some point. What are your thoughts on Cole Strange?
I've actually seen him go as high as a second, actually.
Okay.
I've seen us pick him with our second round pick.
Yeah. I could see him going. I mean, it wouldn't totally shock me if he climbs into the end of the second round, right?
And we have the end of the second round pick, so yeah. So
Jordan P is saying, I think you're talking about him struggled at the Senior Bowl, but they did switch his position. So yeah, so I think he's taking those snaps at center, probably struggled a little bit. So he might be a center at the next level, but I think he's a guy who
I think he's more of a guard, personally. I think he's more of a guard.
I think he could do either. His build, sometimes you get guys his build, sometimes you look at him at centers, but I think he seems like he could be either. So, again, an interesting name to look at on day 2. So let's talk about we have the mock draft from Peo time.
We have a rival.
But it's a friendly rivalry because everyone here knows. Everyone here knows Peo Time is a good dude. He's one of my favorite YouTubers I've had a chance to meet. Good dude, and he joins us in here, so we appreciate it. And he sent me a mock draft, and their first pick is in the 3rd round. He did a little bit of trading, moving around. So we will forgive Peo or excuse Peo for not knowing how to draft well because his team doesn't draft very often. So he's kind of probably forgotten how a team draft. What is a draft? No, I'm joking. He
thinks the draft is just 2 days, but reality is 3.
Isn't draft that thing where you trade picks and get veterans? Isn't that what the draft is?
Yeah.
Obviously,
and you're in cap hell. Yeah.
But actually, all joking aside, an interesting note is as much as people talk about the Rams and not they trade their 1st round picks, but they actually have drafted well later. And that's part of how they built their roster. So he's got a 3rd round pick, Kellen Dyche from Arizona State. I don't know if he's pandering to the Arizona folks with the ASU stuff, but we got.
It kind of seems to be pandering to our stream and sniping a lot of our players.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, that we'll talk about this later. I don't think taking Matariza is pandering to us. It's starting a little bit of a rivalry. He's ours. You can't have him.
Exactly.
Zach.
You took Heavy, Cordero Flott, Kellen Dyche.
Hey, Peo,
come on, man.
Eduardo's got it right. Hey, Peo, you stole our Matariza. What's up, dude? You can't do that.
Well, they did just release Johnny Hecker, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
right.
But back off. He's ours.
So
go away.
Real quick, let me say, hey, we got Mr. Mono that's jumped in here. I appreciate you being here. I like to make sure I acknowledge everyone, at least one comment at minimum. So on a serious note, though, I think taking a tackle is a good idea. Obviously, that Whitworth retired. I don't know if they re-signed Joe Noteboom. I know that's a guy who they really. I don't know if they have him there still or not. Pale, you can tell me if Joe Noteboom has been re-signed, or if he's still free agent, or if he went somewhere else. But that was a guy that they might hope would have replace Whitworth, but I think taking a tackle is a good idea there. Whether it's a guy to develop to become a starter, or you might have to lean on him sooner rather than later, depending on what's going on. A cornerback, Cordell Flott, getting a cornerback from LSU is often a good idea. Right?
Yeah, it's often a good idea, especially then. They know they had to deal with one for a couple of years.
Yep. And then he took safety Sterling Weatherford. I'm going to be honest, I haven't really looked at safeties a lot because the Cardinals don't really seem to be in the market. He did say Noteboom is their left tackle, so they do still have Noteboom, but it might be a good idea for them to get someone to develop. They've got guard Josh Rivas. I think they lost. He's got a guard and a center here. I think they lost at least one of their starters. It was a guy that I think we had hoped the Cardinals would sign. Forgive me for not knowing your roster as well as I know the Cardinals, Zach.
We're not exactly fans of your team, so forgive us if we don't like. Yeah, Kellen is a left tackle. Well, I guess he could play right tackle. Yeah. But he played almost 1,000 snaps at left tackle this year.
I think they have Havenstein at right tackle, so I think they could draft Kellen Dyche and have him be a swing tackle, and then maybe develop him, and he might start. He might end up being the future at left tackle or at right tackle. But they lost. I think they lost at least one interior offensive lineman. Hecker. I think Hecker left as a free agent, I believe, or they cut him. They couldn't afford him.
Yeah, I don't know if they released him. I don't know why, because Johnny Hecker's still probably the best punter in the league.
Because they're in cap hell, right, or something.
Yeah. Because I don't see how you would pay a punter that much money, but I mean, yeah,
he was the highest paid punter. So what I
didn't know that.
Jaden Peavy, a guy we like. So there's I don't know their roster as well as I do the Cardinals. So I think it seems like they're hitting some good players.
Players are hitting good depth at positions where you're gonna. My only takeaway is I probably would have taken an edge rusher somewhere.
Yeah, I could see that. They could probably, they always seem to be a little bit,
They did just lose Vaughn. I'm not too high on Leonard Floyd. Aaron could do it himself, but I mean, ideally, you kind of want him to have some help.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's some nice players in here. Hey, Pale, for a team that doesn't have first-round picks, it's good to see you haven't completely forgotten how the draft works. That's good. Obviously, give them some crap here. So anyway, I hope every single one of these players that you draft becomes a bust, because for you.
I hope Matt Araiza declines to play for the Rams and says he'll only play for the Arizona Cardinals.
That would be great.
That would be phenomenal.
He agrees they need an edge. So anyway. Want to say hey to Hookah Theory. What's up, guys? This is RC3. What is up?
That is RC3. What's up, man?
RC3.
Yeah, that's one of his Instagram accounts.
Oh, cool. Who's RC3?
You probably don't know him.
Yeah, okay. Someone.
He's from Arizona Sportsman.
Okay, well, appreciate you being here. All right. So anyway, but this is an Arizona Cardinals stream, so we had our fun with Payo time. So now it's time for Red Sea for Corey's mock draft. So Corey, real quickly, just kind of get some of the highlights of your draft, what you were thinking, hit on a couple of the points here.
So obviously I was looking to trade down. I didn't want to stay where I was and pick 3 times in the top 200. That was not on an agenda of mine. So I was looking at trade down options. I was like, I could just move down with the Lions. The Bengals didn't want to move up, but Leonard Baum wasn't there, so I felt like it wouldn't be realistic. So the Lions actually moved up for a falling, I believe it was Sam Howell. So they moved up for their quarterback. And instead I got Arnold Ebiketie, who's an edge rusher I really love, coming out of Penn State, I believe, ? Yes, Penn State. I can read. And then right tackle, Abraham Lucas. We don't know what our future holds at right tackle. Dylan Parham, right guard, or right tackle. Whatever one doesn't work. Khalil Shakir, wide receiver. Ty Chandler, running back.
Nick likes Ty Chandler. He's talking.
Yeah, I really like. He's the only player who's not named Sam Howell on North Carolina's offense that was worth anything.
Yeah.
North Carolina was so bad.
Yeah, and I think Jordan P had been talking about can you say his last name, because I need to learn how to
Arnold
say it.
Ebiketie.
Ebiketie. I know Jordan P, I think, was talking about him, the Penn State edge rusher. Like, so, yeah, I mean, I think there's some good players here. It's interesting taking a tackle that earlier. Did you think he's going to be guard, or is it going to be a tackle for him?
He's, I believe, if I can remember correctly, I think he's 6'8", so I don't think he's going to be playing on the inside.
Yeah. Okay. So
6'7", yeah, 6'7",
okay.
6'8". I think he's going to switch over to right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we move on from DJ Humphries, which is something I don't think we should do, then he could slide into left tackle.
For me, I don't personally. I'm not taking tackles early because I think they're going to either.
He was also the best player on my board.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I like
the other players were a bunch of edge rushers. I can't draft edge rushers.
Right. But I like Dylan Parham there. I think Khalil Shakir is an interesting receiver to take if you get into day 3. Obviously, Ty Chandler. A lot of folks like him in here, and I often take him. People, saying he's like Chase Edmonds, more speed, super underrated. So, he shows up in a lot of my mock drafts. Defensive DJ Dale, we've talked about him before. Yeah.
Pure nose tackle.
Yeah.
Pure nose tackle.
So and I know you like James Empey and obviously Matt Araiza. So yeah, I think this is, for me, I don't want to take a tackle to that early. I understand he was the best player on your board, but there's some good players on there that we really like. So yeah. I'll bring up mine now. I struggled a little bit. I tried some different mocks.
Oh my God, you did it. God, you did it.
And I try to bring in guys that I think are going to, I try to have my mock drafts illustrate, maybe highlight a player that I want to talk about or look at a different strategy. And there's a couple players I wanted to get on here that I wasn't able to, but, I went with Traylon Burks, receiver. I know a lot of folks like him. And, I think I've been a little too down on him. I think the potential is really high. I still have some question marks about some of the measurables, but, the tape looks really good. His play speed against Alabama looks really good. So I get that. I've got edge rusher Kingsley Enagbare, who's guy who's often there, in round 2. And I often take Bonita, but I've started taking Enagbare. I got Cole Strange, obviously the guy I highlighted. And then I got another receiver, Tyquan Thornton, who's another big receiver out of Baylor. Figure, okay, maybe they double up, get a couple guys, hope that one or both of them develop.
He's a fast guy from the combine. He's the guy who unofficially broke John Ross's record, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was the cornerback, wasn't it?
It was someone from Baylor.
But it was a cornerback.
Someone from Baylor.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm pretty sure it's the cornerback, but tell me if I'm wrong.
But Tyquan Thornton did run pretty fast. I remember.
But he ran well,
really fast,
and he's a big receiver. And like one of the things I've talked about multiple times is when I look at a big receiver, one of the things I look for those big receivers on PFF is how they do in contested catches, because again, that's what the Cardinals kind of like, those big outside receivers, and he grades well there. Jarian Ely is a smaller back, receiving back, who could be that Chase Edmonds role. Eric Swenson, developmental guard from a major program, Oklahoma. Obviously, Matt Araiza. And then
finally,
Jordan Jackson, they have is a defensive interior out of Air Force. He's more of a pass rusher than run defender, but he's built like that, kind of like that 3-4 defensive end, kind of like what Zach Allen is for them. So I could see them bringing him in as sort of a Michael Dogby type, that guy they bring in who's they're hoping to develop as in that side of kind of role. So anyway, any players that stand out to you, or any thoughts on any of the players on this mock draft?
You finally picked Matt Araiza. You finally did it after like 3 weeks of committing sins.
I
finally
repented.
Did it.
I've repented. Yeah. So
long story short, Jordan Jackson coming from Air Force, that goes to tell you a little bit about his characteristics. 6'5", 285, probably going to be more of a defensive end, but honestly, any help on our defensive line is worth it.
Yeah, and the 7th
he's
round,
obviously going to be a leader. And again, 7th round.
Take a flyer on a guy like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
say hey real quick to Moore's Legacy. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Love a guy that follows down to us. So yeah, I mean, and that's at 23, you just never know who's going to fall to us. So, and that's just something to keep in mind. So, all right. So anyway, those are our mock drafts, but we know what you all are here for. You're here for us to kind of talk about your mock drafts. So we're gonna do that. But someone shared a meme in Discord, and I wanted to share it this time because I think it's very
I laughed
fitting.
for like 5 minutes when I saw this. This was great. This was great.
In every mock draft, I see his face, Matt Ariza. And I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but someone, and maybe you're in here now in the Discord posted this.
I wish I could go on Discord right now, but I'm on the phone.
And if you're here, let us know. But anyway, I thought I got a kick out of that because in every mock draft,
I laughed for like 5 minutes straight. That was a beautiful meme.
Yes, that's perfect. This is the Matt Ariza live stream, and I've repented for my sins and brought Matt Ariza back into mine. So anyway, we're gonna get into your live streams, and when yours is up, if you're in the chat, let us know you're here. And if you want to tell us anything about what you were thinking with yours, let us know, and I will definitely get your comments up. So we're gonna I go with them in order that they were submitted to me. So the first mock draft is Chris Young, who I know I saw in here earlier. And Chris Young has some of the players that I often get in here. Traylon Burks, wide receiver, who I took first this time. Nick Benito, who I take a lot. We've talked about this before. Just round 2 really feels like edge rusher because there's just so many good ones that are there. Now, if they take a round 1 edge rusher, it wouldn't shock me, but I go edge rusher a lot there. Then he ended up with Cole Strange, who I also had. And then Jaden Peavy, who we've talked about before, nice run stuffer on day 3. Matt Ariza, the official stamp. The other tackle out of Oklahoma, Tyrese Robinson, halfback CJ Verdell, and then center Nick Ford. Thoughts on this mock draft?
I've done a recent reevaluation of Nick Benito, so my opinions change a little bit.
Okay,
but I still like the idea. Hybrid outside linebacker, played a Hassan Reddick role. Just give him a role on defense, either pass rush or either off ball. Give him something to do, and he'll probably exceed at it. Traylon Burks had a bad combine, but he beat up Alabama. Mm-hmm. And judging from his supporting cast, that's saying something because Alabama does not get beat up very often.
Right. So
I really love this draft.
Yeah, I think Chris Young's thinking in this draft is similar to my thinking in a lot of my drafts. I know, so maybe I'm biased, but I really like it because I like the positions. I like a lot of the players. I think that's a solid draft that hits on some important needs. Absolutely.
I love the CJ Verdell pick. I love that pick.
Yeah.
Very underrated out of Oregon.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Real quick, Smully Pakinen, thank you for being here. Apologize if I mispronounced your name. What do you guys think of Cardinals signing Steven Anderson? So we talked about that a little bit earlier, and probably before you jumped in. Think that is a replacement for Darrell Daniels. Probably think that's the third string tight end who will contribute on special teams. One of the things we talked about earlier is, at least I think it means they might. I was of the mind that they were going to go tight end somewhere on day 3. Now I think they still could, but if so, it's more likely to be 7th round with one of those later picks that they have. But it seems less likely that they would prioritize tight end now. So I think it's a nice signing. It's a depth signing. It's a guy who can play special teams, has played in the league. It's better than having an undrafted free agent there. So I don't mind it. Oscar Lopez, sup? Hey, thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here. So, yeah, Chris Young, I know, is a very regular contributor to the Discord, which is also a plug. There's a description or link for the Discord below. If you aren't part of the Discord, sign up. If you've never been on Discord, it's pretty easy. Just kind of a nice chat server, and
free. Big point, free.
Me, Corey, and half the folks that are in the chat here are in there over the course of the week, and we just talk Cardinal stuff, in passing over the week, and have conversations with the players.
Vent our frustrations.
Sometimes
vent our frustrations.
Sometimes we have some debates about players, but it's a really but it's a good community of folks, and I'm in there regularly. So if you aren't part of it, please, hit the link below and join the Discord. It's
Best
free.
way to contact nearly any of us is private messaging that Discord server because we're going to reply almost instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we mentioned this. Yeah, we mentioned this earlier, more that Darrell Williams. So, he might be a really kind of nice fit for that Chase Edmonds role, but at a better price. So, yeah, I like Chris Young's mock draft. Let's get on to the next one. We have Mounty Man, who submitted this on Twitter, and this is, I think, his first one here. If you're here, say something in chat. I haven't seen you yet, unless your name in chat here is different than your Twitter. But Chris Olave, a guy that I often have taken in the first round. I know he's not the perfect fit for what they want on the outside, but I still like him as a guy. I just think he's a guy who can come in and right away contribute. He may not have the upside of some of the other receivers, but I feel like he's got the higher floor than some of them and more ready to step right in. Abraham Lucas, who you took, right? So, similar player.
And Dylan Parham.
This is 20. I'm sorry, this conversation.
No, I was responding to Mort's Legacy.
Yeah. Dylan Parham, a guy we like at guard. Ty Chandler, who obviously we talked about, like Chigozium Okonkwo. I hope I
don't ask me. I haven't studied tight ends.
I probably butchered the name. I try
something.
Yes,
CO.
Tight end out of Maryland. So kind of a day 3 tight end. Jordan Jackson, who I took. Matt Ariza, Nick Ford, got that center late, potentially a backup if he makes the squad. I mean, I like this mock draft. The tackle. Early, I'm not a big fan of, like we talked about before, but overall though, I don't hate this mock draft. So what are your thoughts?
I see a comment right here from Moore's Legacy that Olave has never had over 1,000 yards receiving. Well, here's the thing about that. Before this year, the last receiver at Ohio State to have over 1,000 yards was David Boston.
Yeah,
it's been a minute, and think about how many good receivers have come out of Ohio State.
Right. I'm not that doesn't bother me because you have to take the context of how. I mean, Garrett Wilson did he?
I think Garrett Wilson broke the streak, but yeah,
okay.
That's why I said before this year.
Yeah. So
the last one to have one was David Boston, and that was a while ago.
He's playing the same offense with Garrett Wilson, and so like that's just that's gonna there's only so many touches, and the season in college is shorter than the NFL, so all things are taken.
And a lot of the times they're up so much they take them out around the third quarter.
Yeah, so the scout, I think there seems to be. He seems to be a consensus first-round receiver from the scouts. Obviously, those guys can bust, but I think there's a reason that he's there. So that doesn't concern me. But yeah. So yeah, I think there's some players, a lot of players we talked about we like here, a lot of players that folks do like in here. So I think Malik Man did a good job. Personally, like I said, I don't want to take a tackle that early unless you're turning him into a guard. But I'm not going to say that's a bad pick. I get there's questions about who's going to be the right tackle after Calvin Beachum. Some people aren't sold on keeping DJ Humphries around. I get that, so maybe it's personal preference. But the players like, Chandler, Parham, I like Olave. Obviously, Matt Ariza automatically makes an A+ draft regardless, right?
Exactly.
All right, so next one we have Robert Moore, who is also very active in the Discord. So appreciate Robert. Yeah, right. That last one was an A+ draft with Chandler and Ariza, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know why you're grimacing, and I will tell you, Robert Moore in his draft. I'll tell you what, Robert Moore in his draft did something I wanted to do. And he did some traded back, got some extra picks, and took Logan Hall out of Houston defensive interior. And I know you're not a fan, but
nope.
I want to talk about this briefly though, because there's a reason I wanted to get Logan Hall in my mock draft. I just couldn't get the trades to work out quite the way I wanted to. I didn't have time to kind of run enough of them. But there was a report, that Vance Joseph, I think, went to his pro day, if I'm not mistaken. Logan Hall is a big defensive end, kind of one of those guys who's that a little bit of a tweener, not in the tweener like in a smallish kind of way, but in that He's a little bit more that 3-4 defensive end, but you might try to play him as a 4-3 defensive end or outside linebacker in the 3-4. I see him as a better fit as that kind of, again, that defensive end, kind of the way they use JJ Watt in terms of the role on the more on the interior than on the outside. I know you're not a big fan of him, but I wanted to get him in my mock draft, and Robert managed to because he was one of those players that the Cardinals seem to be linked to, and I like to get that in my mock draft. So Robert was able to do that. So he took him as defensive interior, then went with Nick Benito, went receiver with Pierce, went Cole Strange, Cordero Flott, halfback Zakondre White, guard Josh Rivas, center Doug Kramer, and of course Matt Araiza. I know you don't love that top of the pick. I like this draft. I'd rather have a more of a run stuffer defensive interior, but I like what Robert did here with those players.
I like the idea. I like the idea. I don't like the player.
Yeah.
Really low on the player. Like, okay, playing defensive tackle, he's 6'6", 260. That does not work. That doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
He is very, very skinny and honestly does not know what doesn't look like he knows what what he's doing. Because he every time he just runs himself out of plays way too often on that I see. And playing granted, he had a lot of help in Houston because Houston's defense was really good for being a unranked team. I personally would have gone a different defensive tackle. Like I would have loved if Travis Jones was there. Give me that.
So personally, I'm with you, and I agree with Jordan. Like for me, if I'm trading back like this and the board falls like this, I'd rather get Travis Jones than Logan Hall. So in terms of my preference, yes, I like. I mean, we all know I love Travis Jones. If you've been doing this with us on Mock Draft Monday since the beginning, I like Robert's mock draft here because of the players further on the draft. I think he did a really good job hitting a lot of needs in good spots and finding good value. And I appreciate that he included Hall because of the Cardinals linked to him. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it from. Now, personally though, yes, I'm with you. I'd rather get someone like Travis Jones than Logan Hall. But I like that it gave us a chance to talk about the fact that the Cardinals are linked to him, if that makes sense. Real quick, what is up, L7? Where should you send the mock draft? So there's two ways you can send those to me. You can either tag me with it on Twitter. In fact, in the description of the video, I include instructions on how to do that. So if you go back to this video after you watch it, or check out the description below now, you'll see where I kind of lay that out. So if you can send it to me at Twitter. And I have also been accepting them. People have been messaging me in Discord. So either way, you just need to get me your mock. I really kind of stop accepting them sometime late afternoon, early evening on Mondays. I need a little bit of time to prep the slideshow and everything. But if you get it to me, by late afternoon Monday, or if not sooner, then yeah, we'll get you in the get it in the stream. So yep, absolutely, please do. So yeah, I mean, listen, he's more of that edge. He's more that pass rusher. He's not going to be the run stopper we need. So I don't disagree with you on that. So for me, I'm not going to take him if I'm really the Cardinals. But I liked having him in the mock draft because it gave us a chance to talk about the reports that the Cardinals were linked to him. But even aside from that, I do like the players Robert has in this mock draft. I get that you're not big on Logan Hall, but further down the draft, I really like what he did here. So let's move on to our next one. We got Jordan Pease, K1 since day one, who did all kinds of trading away, got rid of a bunch of those picks.
I thought that was just like a 4-round mock draft or something.
Yeah, I know.
Did he trade away that many picks? Good Lord.
He just unloaded some picks and moved up, right?
Good God.
Yeah. So you really like Alex Pierce, except you didn't draft him in this one. I'm just giving you crap. I understand. You got Jameson Williams, so you moved up to get Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams go fast.
Yeah, so let's take a look. He's got his comment. This is mine. With all the rumors of us possibly moving up, I wanted to move a bit for my guy Jameson. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's another thing. There's been reports that the Cardinals are maybe looking to move up. I also, though some of the reports I saw were that they were maybe looking to move up for one of the top edge rushers. But you just never know. Maybe they do move up to get the receiver. And, Jameson Williams has some of the best upside of the receivers in the draft. So I don't, I don't hate it if when he falls to me at 23, anytime the very few times he's fallen to me at 23, I've taken him, So what Jordan's doing here is giving us a chance to talk about the Cardinals there's been reports, I think John Gambadoro, reported that they were considering moving up. I know we've talked about it here. I would rather see them trade back than trade up, and get some more day 2 picks. But yeah, so he traded up, got Jameson Williams, got an edge rusher at 55. There's usually a handful of them there, so he likes Drake Jackson, so get a good edge rusher there to develop. Dylan Parham, you got that guard there, guard center. Ty Chandler we talk about, and of course Matt Ariza. It is official, right? So what do you think of this mock draft?
The only problem is we still have a problem against the run. That's one problem I see. Because Drake Jackson to me is more of a pass rusher, just a situational pass rusher, and probably not going to be much more than that unless he develops like a lot. Yeah, because he's really just a pass rusher at this point. Yeah, that's the only problem I see with this. I love the idea of moving up, but we don't have any draft capital. So if you move up, you got to be certain. And Jameson Williams is a prospect I'm pretty certain of. Wide receiver, go fast.
Yeah.
If you watch Tom Grassi, you know what I'm referring to.
I haven't seen that, but I do watch. So
I love his channel so much.
Oh no, I know I watched Tom Grassi. I just haven't seen the bit you're talking about. But now here's the
draft.
Okay, here's the one caveat I would say to that. I like Jameson Williams. If the Cardinals can get him, I like that too. But here's my one concern. Jameson Williams might not really be contributing till later in the season because of the injury situation. I think maybe. Well, no, wait. How recovered? How do you know what the situation is with?
I remember he was working. I think he was working out recently. Okay. I don't remember if he was like doing the full drills, but I know he was doing stuff.
Okay, so kind of where I'm looking at it is if you are taking a first round pick who because of recovering from an injury might not be ready to contribute early. And you are also trading away a lot of picks.
Speaking of which, there's a mock draft for the Cardinals.
Right. And you're trading away a lot of picks, and then you're not addressing more positions. Like you've just gotten down to where you've got 5 picks, and one of them might not be contributing early. That's maybe a little bit of a caveat, but I like all the players here. I think it's some solid players. Real quick, this is a bold mock draft, but Steve Keim wants to trade up to pick a linebacker. Oh man, if he takes another middle linebacker early, even I'm going to jump on that, right? I want to say hey to Simon is here. I like jumping up for wide receiver above Green Bay. Green Bay could very well be. A lot of people think they're going to be taking a receiver in round 1, and they're ahead of us. So yeah, I kind of like that too. So, and Keim has just won positions in free agent, maybe at Calais Campbell. And that's, that's also to be another point to consider that, they're not done in free agency. They're going to keep signing some depth players like they did, with the tight end, and they'll keep signing a few of those kinds of players. And then after the draft, when it's no longer impacting the compensatory system, they're going to go and try to probably get a couple guys that might even be starters for them. So maybe some of those needs that aren't being, managed in the draft here are going to be taken care of in free agency. So that's worth considering. All right. So next we have Lance, who's really great supporter of the channel. He's really, he's in the Discord. He's been a supporter for a while. Really appreciate Lance. So he went with Zion Johnson earlier, Kingsley Mbare, and then he did a little bit of a trade. Let's see, did he move up a little bit?
I can move up. I can't really tell.
Yeah, it looks like he moved up.
Really tiny.
Looks like maybe he moved back. I think
he moved back. Yeah, he moved back. He moved back 10 spots, got a 5th, and got another 7th.
Yep. Then he took Romeo Doubs, the receiver, who I often take in round 3. I think he's got some interesting potential when you look at his grades. Safety, Percy Butler. Defensive interior, Jaden Peavy, who we both, I know, have talked about before. Josh Rivas, guard out of Kansas State. CJ Verdell, who I know you like. We talked about earlier. Jack Jones, cornerback. Matt Ariza. Jeremiah Gemmel, a linebacker, maybe a depth or special teams guy.
Or just Steve Keim being Steve Keim.
Right. I think this is a solid draft. What are your thoughts?
I like a lot of the players, especially at the top. Like the top 3 players are players that I love. These top 3 players are in my top, I believe, 60. I think Romeo Dubs is in the 60 range somewhere on my board. Jaden Peavy.
And that's a great name, Dubs, right? Romeo Dubs.
Exactly. Romeo Dubs. You can't be bad if your last name's Dubs.
You better not
be bad. You better not be bad because that's a problem.
Yeah.
I would maybe consider going a different position in the 7th round, or not in 7th. Wow. I was looking at the 2 7s here. In the 5th round with Percy Butler, I would maybe consider going a different position because our safety room is probably the strongest thing on our team aside from our quarterback. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I get it if the board's not falling the right way and you just want to take a shot on a guy who's going to be a good special teamer. But I personally would have gone a different player here.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, I think Mark's got to head out. Mark, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. Really great support of the channel. So thank you. Hey, I appreciate you, man. You're great. Real quick, a couple questions I want to kind of get to. Might be worth trading next year's pick, move up, grab a stud wide receiver. Potentially, I don't want to trade. I am not a fan of trading future first round picks to move up the board in the draft. I just don't like doing that.
I don't do it if you're like moving
but
up.
I don't mind if you can move up by giving away like a 3rd or a 4th round pick and sometimes if you're talking about just moving up a few spots, you might be able to get away with doing like maybe a 3rd round pick this year or and adding a 4th. But as long as it's not that 1st round pick, and is it worth it? Maybe I'm biased because I don't like moving up. I don't know. What do you think, Corey? Do you think it would be worth, or what would you be willing to trade to move up to get a stud wide receiver ahead of where we're at now in round 1?
In my opinion, if we're moving up in the draft, it would have to be for a quarterback, and we don't need a quarterback. As far as giving up another 1st round pick, I wouldn't move up, giving up a 1st round pick just to move up for like an edge rusher or something. That I wouldn't do that.
I tend to be kind of that mind too. I'm not a fan of moving up in the 1st round unless it's for a quarterback. I don't mind moving up a little bit later in the draft where it doesn't cost as much, but that's just my take.
I don't want to become the Rams. I don't want to never pick in the 1st round because Granny Khan can't hit on these 1st round picks, but my God, something's better than nothing.
So I personally, I wouldn't because I just don't like doing that. That's just me. I'd rather take a shot at a guy like Romeo Dubs or George Pickens, who has a chance, to be really good. So one other question, and Kathy, I saw your question, so I'm getting to you next. Do you think Matt Riza will really fall to the 7th round? I don't think he will. No. I mean, in PFF's mock drafts, he's there, so we all take him. And I honestly, I think part of the reason he's become such a popular pick in this live stream, we talked him up a bit, but also they have so many picks in round 6 and 7. And sometimes I know for me, when I'm doing my mock draft and I'm like, who am I going to, I don't want to read up about some guard who from some school who, I do read up on those, but it's like, I'm just going to take Matt Riza. That's one less player on day 3 I have to go research before I take the pick. But no, I think he's going to go in round 4 or 5. That's where I think he's going to go. Where do you think he's going to go?
A lot earlier than the 6th and 7th. The only reason he's there is because PFF does not like punters and kickers.
Yeah. So what round, if you had to bet, what round would you say he goes in?
I wouldn't be shocked if he went end of 3rd. I wouldn't be shocked.
It would be surprising, but not shocking.
Generational special teamer. It's ridiculous to think of, but yes, that's what he is.
I'm old enough that I remember when the Raiders took Sebastian Janikowski in the 1st round.
I remember that.
That was crazy.
I wasn't around for it, but I do remember that.
Yeah. So I don't think he'll be there then, but PFF seems to their algorithm seems to have him there.
He falls there, so we all take him. How about that?
And every team wants Matt Riza, right?
Every team wants Matt Riza, but no one else can have him.
Yeah. So, and real quick, and then I'll get this question, and we'll go on to the next mock draft. Do you think Marco Wilson will break out? What do you think? Do you think he's going to have a breakout season?
I'm sorry, I was reading a comment from George P. What was the question again?
Do you think Marco Wilson will break out
Yes.
this year? Okay.
Yes, very easily.
Okay. How do
Jordan P. I'm
like
gonna smack you.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm talking to Jordan
Okay.
P. If anyone remembers the drama between me and Jordan P. going into last year's draft about Kyle Pitts.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. That's what that was about. Yeah.
How many wins does Falcons have? Just quick question.
I think Kyle Pitts is a good player. I wouldn't have traded up that far to get him if I were the Cardinals were going to have to trade up. But
oh no,
that's all. No. But I don't hate that they took him. He's going to potentially be a game changer. But yeah, Marco Wilson, I think he'll be improved. I don't know if he'll break out. Like
I don't know if it'll be like a Byron Murphy breakout like this season was.
Yeah,
but he'll definitely be a lot better.
I think he'll be better. So here's kind of like Mike. Like okay, he is a physically gifted cornerback who in college played against top competition, right? That in the SEC. However,
freshman.
Here is the one concern for me, and AJ Terrell I think is the comparison, right? And that's that's a great point because AJ Terrell had a little bit of rough rookie season. He graded better than Marco Wilson did in his rookie season, but he was also a first round pick. So AJ Terrell from the Falcons in this last season, AJ Terrell was one of the best cornerbacks in the league in terms of grade.
Which I never saw.
My concern with
I never saw that coming.
I think Marco Wilson will be better, but he never graded elite in college. He played against tough competition, and that matters. But he didn't grade like super well. He had a pretty good freshman year and didn't really get better in the ways people had hoped he will, but he has the tools, right? And so I think he'll be better. I just don't know if he's ready to break out, in my opinion, but I think he'll be better. And Jordan P's, I'm sorry, Simon's asking, how did he, how does he compare against the cornerbacks in this class? I mean,
that's not really fair because this corner class is really,
this corner class is really good. To me, like there's some of those guys that are the very athletic cornerbacks who are a little bit raw but need a little bit of work. I think he's kind of, in that sort of category. Like the guys we talked about, like Zion McCollum and guys like that, but maybe a little more, but more experience playing in the SEC. So I think I think he's as physically talented, physically gifted as any of the cornerbacks, but I don't think he plays at the same level.
But most of them.
I mean,
at least in this class, because this class includes a guy named Derek Stingley.
No, but here's the thing: when I say physically gifted, and I did a video about him last season when they drafted him. Marco Wilson's combine numbers were freakish,
or insane.
Right. So when I say physically gifted, when I say physically gifted, I mean he has the athleticism. He's as athletic or more athletic than any cornerback in this class. But that's not the only thing that matters, right? So.
People love to hate on Marco Wilson because he gave up a couple of touchdowns, but the guy was maybe a good grand total 1 inch away from 5 interceptions this season as a rookie. Like if you watch the plays, he had one against the Rams that was called back. He almost had one against San Francisco, which was the one where it wasn't San Francisco, some team where the play that he injured himself, diving for the ball. One of the touchdowns in the second Rams game, the ball literally bounced off his hands into Cooper Kupp's hands. Like, Marco Wilson's right there. It's not like he's playing bad. For a fourth-round rookie corner, he's not playing bad.
No, yeah.
He's right there.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is his play in terms of his actual cornerback play, his coverage in college, I think he got by maybe a little more on physical ability than technique, maybe. And I think he needs to work on that a little bit in some of the decision making. But I think he'll be better. But I don't think he's going to have in my opinion, I don't think he's going to break out like AJ Terrell. But
no, probably not that much.
But I think he'll be better. Yeah. So let's talk about the next one, Rafael Castillo, who I haven't seen in the chat tonight, but he's definitely very active in the Discord. So he went with Traylon Burks, who I went with. I know a lot of people really like Burks. And And then he went with Josh Pascal, who is a guy I
How that's
like.
a D? I don't know. Pause.
Well, I like Pascal. I just think this is early for him. And usually there's other pass rushers still available. So I wouldn't mind trading back or taking Pascal in round 3, but that to me felt early. But I do like Pascal. We've talked early in when we first started doing Mock Draft Mondays. I liked him generally as a fit. Reminds me of a little bit like Trey Flowers, who was with the Lions and previously with the Patriots. Cole Strange, Tyquan Thornton, very some two players I took there. Thomas Booker, who we talked about a few weeks back, who's kind of interior defensive lineman, very smart. Didn't grade super well, but is an interesting guy to get later on day 3. Jack Jones, Kennedy Brooks. I know you like him. I've taken him a lot of mock drafts, and of course, Matt Ariza. What are your thoughts on this on Raphael's mock draft?
PFF is very mean. That's my thoughts. PFF is very mean.
Okay.
Josh Pascal beat the you-know-what out of my Florida Gators. So I can't really talk bad about him at all because he beat the living insert out of my Florida Gators. Traylon Burks, obviously, great pick. How he fell to you, I don't know. Host range, I probably would have gone a different guard. If Dylan Parham was there, I would have gone him.
Mm-hmm.
Tyquan Thornton, wide receiver, go fast. Thomas Booker, defensive lineman. A cornerback from Arizona State, that's a check mark. Kennedy Brooks, if I recall, I believe he played with Kyler. Don't quote me on that. I think he played with Kyler. I think it was his freshman year when Kyler won the Heisman. I think. Don't quote me. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some good players. Maybe for me, the my only kind of issue with this is I think just the value of where he took Pascal. I think, and at least now maybe in the actual draft, Pascal will go in the second round, but like in a lot of the mock drafts I do, he's there in round 3. So for me, I like the player. I just at least with the way the draft tends to fall with PFF, it's felt like a reach. But I like the players here, right? So,
Raphael, you are.
Well, let's hear from the man Raphael himself, and thank you for the super chat. I've been here all stream. You guys are getting me through my long hour and a half drive. Oh, that's a long drive. Well, I'm glad we could do that. Also, try to include guys who are tied to Arizona. I like that. Would have taken another edge as well, but Keim going to do Keim things. That is fair.
Keim not going to do Keim things because you didn't pick a linebacker.
Right, right. But yeah, okay. So
I believe there is a gift that we must share now.
Yes. Well, so let me of course thank you, good sir. So thank you for the super chat. I sincerely appreciate the support of the channel. Yeah, so that's fair, and I think so. Raphael, it sounds like the Pascal pick is not necessarily because that's who he would have picked, but similar to kind of talking about the is it Logan Hall? Is that
it was Logan Hall? Unfortunately,
from Houston. That's more pick not because it's necessarily my preferred player, but I like that pick because it illustrates some of the talk. So yeah, but I think overall it's a good draft. And speaking of supporting channel, I just want to mention, and I put this on community. Tomorrow is going to be the 1-year anniversary of my first video on the channel. And about 3 days ago, it was a year to the day that I started the channel, officially created the channel. So tomorrow will be 1 year since my first video. And if you want a good laugh, you can go back and watch it because it's really bad. I watched it. It's just awful.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I mean, in terms of just like my editing. No, like I was just getting started. I've learned a lot about editing. I've improved my gear, my camera, my audio. The editing and the recording quality were really bad. But it's just been really exciting to be doing this, for a year now. And for me, it's been a joy to kind of hang out with you guys and learn how to do this stuff and get better at the editing and stuff. So anyway, but I definitely appreciate the support, whether it be super chats, folks showing up for live streams, the liking the videos, subscribe. I appreciate all forms of support. You all have been great. Real quick,
Speaking of which, there's channel members, right? So
Uh,
channel
I'm,
members,
I'm sorry.
the channel members, another way to support the channel.
Oh yes, channel membership. Absolutely. I'm sorry. And I'll put the folks who are channel members up on our way out at the end. But yes, we got a lot of folks in here channel members, and that's also a great way to support. So I appreciate it all. Whether you're just watching the videos every time I pop them up, you're liking them, you're commenting, your super chats, or the channel member, however you are and can support the channel. Listen, one of the things I often say, one of the best things you can do is when I put up a video, if you watch it, comment on it, and hit a thumbs up, that helps with the algorithm to help other people find the channel. So it's all greatly appreciated. So, what do I think about Leo Chanel from Wisconsin? I haven't looked closely at him. I know he's a guy who's
Linebacker.
Linebacker is kind of I believe kind of a really physical thumper.
He's more of like the tradition, like old school linebacker.
So that's one of the I haven't really looked at him closely because I haven't been looking at those middle linebackers because I'm just trusting in faith that Steve Kine is not going to take a linebacker.
For the love of God.
I'm hoping that the universe will reward that and that we won't get a middle linebacker. So, he seems like a player who goes in round 2 a lot, early round 2, late round, I think. What do you, seems like a good player, just not a fit, for what we need. What do you think, Corey?
I could see him going in the first. He seems like a Patriots player. As much as it hates me to say, because he seems like someone who would be really good in New England.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. They do a good job finding linebackers and defensive linemen that fit their system and making them into good players. They struggle drafting receivers, but they do a good job with those defensive players.
Yeah, they don't like drafting receivers, but all the better just take them from Miami, I guess. Apparently, Miami just gave them Devontae Parker for basically nothing.
Right. Well, yeah. So let's move on to our next mock draft, which is. Rashad, who's was in here earlier, so I know he was in here, and hopefully he's still here with us. So he submitted one. I know it's a little hard to see, but he a little spicy trading. He traded for Jalen Reagor, and it shows there's actually just one trade at the top. It repeated it for some reason. You mentioned this, but Jalen Reagor, and traded for Brandon Cooks, a third. I think it's a third and a fifth, next year's fifth. So a little spicy here, right?
Very.
So we got a little bit spicy, a little trade, fixing the receiver room, maybe. And then Jordan Davis. So it looks like he in that trade, he moved up, okay?
Yeah, he moved up to pick 15 and to pick 25.
Okay. Oh, and he traded Andy Isabella away. And he traded Andy Isabella and some picks for Jalen Reagor and some picks.
That's a huge win. Get him off the team.
Right. So he's got Jordan Davis, who, listen, we think is a great player. Just don't know if he'll be there for the Cardinals. Kair Elam, who a lot of people really like him. I know you really like him a lot. So I'm
obligated to. He's from Florida.
For some people, a lot of people see him as an underrated cornerback.
Oh yeah.
Then Alec Pierce. So he traded for 2 receivers and then drafted Alec Pierce. So he is, and when he sent
that would give us 5.
When he posted this, he posted this both in Twitter and in Discord, and he said, "I'm fixing the receiver room." I'm like, boy, did you ever, right? You certainly threw a lot of players at
going into the season with. Good Lord.
Yeah, right. Pierre Strong Jr., then he went with Pierre Strong Jr., the running back, who I really like, and I know Brett Coleman really likes him. Adam Anderson, edge rusher with some off the field stuff, but talented player.
Talent is not enough. Off the field that's enough.
It's significant.
That's enough.
Yeah, it's significant.
If convicted, but I'm okay with taking it here because you can just cut him. It's a 5th round pick.
It's an upside play. That's one of those things. If you're going to draft him, you got to do your homework and feel comfortable about him as an organization. Jack Jones, cornerback. We got a tackle.
Mock draft where Jack Jones has not been selected.
Yeah, he's been drafted a lot, huh? Then we got a couple. We got a couple tackles on day 3 in the 7th round. Of course, Matt Araiza. So what are your thoughts on this very spicy, bold mock draft? And real quick, say, hey, Deontay, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. So what do you think of this? Is spicy?
This is very spicy, considering I would not touch Jalen Reagor with a 5-foot ball, with 10-foot ball, actually. That's how the saying goes. And I don't know if I trade that much for Brandon Cooks. I remember I was talking to someone when the stream started, I'm not trading that much for Brandon. He's hurt way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate Jalen Rager so much. I hate Jalen Rager so much. When the Eagles picked him, I was just like, I feel so bad for Eagles fans.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of buddies who are Eagles fans, and they were pissed.
Yeah.
They were so mad.
So what do you think of the players? So you don't like the trades?
I don't like the two traded players that we got, Jalen Rager and Ryan Chris. But aside from that, I love the draft. Adam Anderson is a high upside, like boomer bust. Like his play is going to be good. If the off-field stuff checks out, you get the best 5th-round pick you could ever hope for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the players across the board. You know, I don't know. I know that Adam Anderson stuff is significant. I just don't know. And I know he's a really good player. I just don't know. You know, it's going to be a big question how the off the field stuff checks out in terms of how it resolves and what the Cardinals feel about that. There's some players I really like there. Obviously, Jordan Davis, Alec Pierce Strong, Earlam's a good player.
Matt Araiza.
Yeah, Matt Araiza. I know like Jalen Reagor's a guy who hasn't lived up to his draft status, but I don't hate taking a guy if you're not giving up a ton to get a guy who was drafted early and you're not expecting him to be what he probably is. My understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think he fits a little better in the slot than he does outside. So he's probably a guy who's in there with Rondale Moore kind of in the mix of the slot, not a guy you're depending on a lot. Brandon Cooks is so talented. He's interesting, though, because he tends to be more of an outside receiver, but he's small, which isn't fast. A perfect fit for this offense, but he's really good. I mean, he is what I think people had hoped Christian Kirk could have been. And Kirk's still, I think, a good player, but Cooks is really good. He just, some injury issues, and he gets traded a lot. So it's an interesting one, and then, Sheds, Eagles already traded their picks. So this was submitted before the trade.
Actually, yeah.
So,
the Eagles still have this pick. Eagles still have pick 15.
Yeah. So, there was some trade with the Saints and stuff. So yeah, real quick, I want to say, hey to Grandizer. Thank you for being here, Dolphins fan. How are we both tonight? We're doing good. We're not watching. Yeah, I'm not a college basketball guy. I'm not. I know it's a big game, but I'm committed to.
Since UConn's women's basketball is so good, but I just don't watch basketball.
Right,
I'm just not a basketball guy.
And I'm committed. We're gonna do mock draft Monday. Dang it,
mock draft Mondays.
Appreciate you stopping by. Commenting, Adam Anderson was projected top 5 pick before the allegations. The team drafts him 7th. Clear charges. Yeah, and that's the point, right?
That's exactly why. Like, if you draft him somewhere in late day 3, like from like right here, late in the 5th round to 7th round, and the allegations clear, that's a starter.
Right.
That's a starter on your team.
So you just have to do your homework, and if you, as an organization, it's a tough decision as an organization, right? But as
a late day 3 pick, if the allegations don't clear and he's convicted, cut him.
Yeah,
it's not like the Isaiah Wilson from a couple of years ago for the Titans, where you picked him in the 1st round and he said, "I don't want to play for you guys after 1 year." Yeah, and you trade him for a 7th round pick.
Yeah,
if he doesn't work out, cut him. It's a late day 3 pick. You're not going to lose anything.
I do think, though, you have to do some homework first, even if you're taking a flyer, because as an organization, you also have to manage the public relations and the image side of it. And it's,
Arizona care that much about it, because we all know that we don't like Steve Conn that much.
Right. But Michael Bidwell is going to do his due diligence before he takes someone like Adam Anderson. So if he's either, they're going to do their homework on him. And if they don't feel comfortable, if they don't feel comfortable, then he's going to be off their board, right? So, and listen, if they're comfortable with him, if they do their homework and they feel comfortable with the pick, then 5th is definitely not too early either, right? So, yeah, Grandizer, thank you, appreciate you showing the support with the like. Yes, and if you're in here and you haven't done so, please do me a favor and click like. Definitely appreciate that. Real quick, Elwan's saying that, Cook still plays well. He balls and he's an upgrade over Kirk. Even he's a good player as long as he's healthy, right? Let's see. One last thought before we go on to the next draft. Joseph Corey, if a team with deep pockets and pull, they would take Adam Anderson and make things go away. We should maybe. Sometimes
we don't have deep pockets, but yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's hard. Yeah, sometimes I don't want to get into it because it gets a little bit kind of some very sensitive stuff, but sometimes that does happen, all right, so next we have Aramis Sports. I'm Aramis Sports. I follow them on Twitter. They follow me on Twitter. I'm not sure who they are in here. Do you know who this is in terms of YouTube or Discord? Because
Not at all.
Aramis Sports does some writing. They have a blog, and I checked out some of their articles, and it's well written stuff. So Aramis, if you're in there, let us know who you are. But does some good writing. So they've got a blog that's worth checking out. But they've got a mock draft in here. Chris Olave, who obviously we talked about a lot. I've taken a lot. Travis Jones at 55, who I really like. He's not been available at 55 on PFF lately.
Yeah, he hasn't been available for me in a minute.
But I'd love to have him there if he were. Sam Williams, edge. I don't know. Sam Williams, where's Sam Williams out of? This doesn't
Ole Miss, I believe. Ole Miss.
Okay. I don't know a lot about him. I haven't really looked at him.
Isaac
Taylor Stewart, a cornerback.
No, yeah, Ole Miss.
Okay, and then Isaac Taylor Stewart. I haven't really looked at him. Cornerback. Where's he? Do you know where he's at?
USC, I believe.
Okay.
Isaac Taylor Stewart. Way.
Okay.
Yes, USC.
Okay, and then we got Ty Chandler, who we talked about. We like Trey Turner, receiver, who I've taken. Is he out of Virginia Tech?
Virginia Tech, and Stuart Reese is the offensive lineman from Florida.
Okay, so there's some nice players in here. What do you think? What do you think of this mock?
There's a problem. It's not your fault because you can't pick them here, but there's no Matt Ariza, so that's a big problem. But I would go a different edge rusher personally. I don't like Sam Williams at all. Okay. I think Sam Williams is going to be a big bust. But Chris Olave, Travis Jones, instant A+ for the first 2 rounds. Trey Turner, huge get. I'm obligated to like Stuart Reese because he's from Florida, and I'm a Florida Gator fan. Ty Chandler, really good running back out of North Carolina. Isaac Taylor Stewart, developmental corner. Yeah. I'm fine with that. I just personally would have gone a different edge rusher. That's the only problem I have.
I just don't know a lot about a couple of those players, so I'm not going to go too deep on. I think overall, they're obviously Travis Jones, Matt Olave, love it. Ty Chandler, like it. Trey Turner, I've had it on. I think it's a good draft. Unfortunately, it's just not official because there's no Matt Ariza, right?
Yeah, no Matt Ariza. It's problem, man.
But aside from that, it's good stuff, right?
I got your last place because you don't have Matt Ariza.
Right. And then he's asking, did we briefly the Eagles Saints our trade? I think we briefly mentioned it. It might have been just before you got in.
Might have been during that draft, actually.
Yeah. So they traded. I think the Eagles traded 2 picks, first round picks this year. And then there's like there's like a handful of later picks and future picks.
Philadelphia robbed New Orleans.
The Saints picked up. Basically, the Saints got us 2 first round picks this year. Gave up next year's first, the second the year after. A lot of picks moving around. So it's it'll be interesting to see why that happened. I know people are talking about the compensation, and I mean a lot of people feel like that it was I read that it was uneven. I read like ESPN's article, and there were some calculators of pick value, it was a little closer, but it was viewed as a little uneven. But I agree with you here though. Travis Jones at 55, what a dream. That I would be a very, very happy Cardinals YouTuber if Travis Jones were available at 55 and we took him, and I would be a very, very unhappy Cardinals YouTuber if he were available at 55 and we passed on him. Which
that would be very mad.
Which is probably more likely to happen, sadly.
Unfortunately, we're going to take a linebacker with a second round pick.
Right. So that is actually our last mock draft of the ones that were brought. So there were a lot of good mock drafts in there. A lot of fun talking about them. Now, so what we're going to do, and we'll try to get through this. Maybe we don't want to take too long because I know last week was a lot of fun doing the first round mock draft, but it took a while.
It was really fun, but it took forever.
So we're going to go back to doing a Cardinals mock draft, and we're going to try to get through this. So let's talk about, we're going to go and start this. We'll do like we did before, a Cardinals mock draft, not just the whole first round. We're not going to do any trades. So once you see the players on the board, start getting your comments in the chat. Go got some guys there: Ojabo, Andrew Booth, Lewis Sine, Kyler Elam, Traylon Burke, Zion Johnson, Jalen Petrie, Sky Moore, Boy Mafe.
JP, no, we're not going Tyler Linderbaum.
I know that's been another comment or a little bit of a conversation point in the Discord.
Check out Discord so you can hear me and JP arguing at each other, spending a first round pick on a backup center.
So let's folks in the chat, and listen, Travis Jones is not out of the question here. He's moving up their ADP to 40.
Is he at 41 now?
Is he
at 41 right now? I don't remember.
He's 40, and he's ranked 40, and his average draft position is 40. So we're not going to do any trades here just for today. So if you've got someone you want us to take in, get it in the chat, and then we'll kind of go from there. Not seeing any comments popping up yet, but
I'm just gonna post one just because. If I could spell his last name right, that'd be great.
I hear Ojabo, the edge rusher who is very talented but got injured, so that's a possibility. Ojabo, there we go. So Red Sea here, Corey says Ojabo. I don't see any other comments in the chat yet, so I know sometimes it's a little bit delayed. Zion Johnson or Ojabo from Jordan P. Got Ojabo. Got a couple of Ojabo. Let's go with Ojabo. He's a guy, obviously had the unfortunate injury, but is so talented.
Once he comes back from his injury, that's going to be a huge get. Especially late in the season, he's going to be fresh when everyone else is tired.
Yeah. So I've got Zion Johnson or Ojabo. Let's go with Ojabo. Now we're going to get to the second round. So there's going to be a lot of edge rushers there, but we went edge rusher. So unless we want to double down on that, right?
Would you look at that? A lot of edge rushers.
Yes. Abraham Lucas. We got some receivers. Jalen Tolbert. We got some Kennard, who's a tackle but could be a move to guard. Justin Ross, Dylan Parham, Josh Pascal, who's another edge rusher. Alec Pierce is there. We could go there. Khalil Shakir, Perrion Winfrey, John Mechie. Then we're starting to get to guys that might be more likely to be there in the third round. I see Alec Pierce. Let's go ahead and let's go and go with Alec Pierce. I know he's a guy we like. We haven't seen him a lot in mock drafts. Jake Jackson's another potential, but I know Jordan P really likes Alec Pierce. He's been talking about him throughout the stream, so we'll go and go Alec Pierce this time. All right, now we're gonna get to the third round.
I really hope Dylan Parham's there. Really hope.
So let's see. So now we've got Kellen Dyche, Pierce, Donovan West, Cole Strange, Zach Tom, Luke Fortner, Romeo Dubs, some interesting players in some different positions, James Cook. So David Bell, receiver of Purdue. So let's see. So
I'm willing to reach on a running back here. I'm willing to reach on a running back here.
Okay. I'm hearing Cole Strange too. Why don't we I'm going to do Cole Strange. We got Moore's Legacy saying that he was a player we highlighted. Let's just, for theme wise, go with that. All right. Now we're going to have the long waiting game to the fifth round.
Now we're going to sit here.
Yeah.
Staring at a screen.
It's going to take him. This is great TV, except it's not TV. Exactly.
This is phenomenal YouTube.
Yes.
This is content.
It is content. Let's see. All right. Almost there. Here we go.
Hey, here we are.
Ooh, what do you think?
I'm a good 50 picks behind, so just give me a second.
Okay.
I'm using all season the live stream on my computer to have a bigger screen because my phone's kind of tiny. Ooh.
No love for ASU products. Yeah, we take them a lot, right? Yeah, Cole Strange, center guard. I think he could potentially. I mean, with Will Hernandez, he might be a developmental guy, but he could develop into a guard for us. So yeah, Ty Chandler. I've got some. I think Jordan.
I'm thinking Ty. I'm thinking Ty Chandler.
Why don't we go there? Jordan P's exclamation point sign. We talked about him a lot. Good player. Shows up on a lot of my mock drafts. Now, this guy Javen Hiley
from Coastal, I think.
highlight from Coastal Carolina. He's interesting. He's a big receiver, 6'2", 200. The competition is, the question, right? He's not playing against major programs, but look at his grades and his production, really good, again, against small school, players. But he has that contested catch radius, grades in the blue, which is really good. And that's one of the things I look for. So this is a guy, he hasn't made it onto my mock drafts, but he's a guy I look at as an interesting late round guy. Not saying we necessarily go. We did get receiver. We went Pierce earlier. So there's some tackles. There's some running backs. Some receivers, developmental players at edge, linebacker, center. It's Ariza time. It's the Ariza time. So let's see real quick. Jordan saying, I'd rather get Pascal later than a Jabo 23, but is what. Yeah, listen, obviously we're just doing this for fun. Personally, you'll notice I'm not taking a Jabo on mine. He's talented. I just don't want to take a first rounder who's not going to play, till much later. If you can get him in the second round, I'd love to get him in the second round. But so
What's
I'm with you
available
there.
for a defensive tackle? If
Right.
I'm not mistaken, do we not take a defensive tackle?
I don't think we did here. So I'll tell you, we got some, Eduardo Bernetta saying take Ariza because, it's because this is the all Ariza all the time YouTube channel. But
he's
he
not
won't
supposed
really
to be
there.
here, so we kind of should
Yeah.
go to the podium.
But yeah, right. Jordan P.
Thomas
saying,
Booker went 2 picks ahead of us. Sad face.
Jordan P. is saying take the small school wide receiver. What do you think?
I'm looking at either a defensive tackle or Matt Ariza.
All right. Well, let's look at the defensive interiors and see who's here.
Oh, DJ Dale.
You want to go with DJ Dale?
Yeah, I'd feel more confident about him being taken than Matt Ariza because Matt Ariza is never taken unless it's by us.
All right. Well, let's take DJ Dale. And
nose
then,
tackle, something we need very badly.
Yeah. And then I'm going to tell you, we're going to take Matt Ariza with our last pick just because sadly he'll be there because they don't understand here. So what do we think?
We have 3 picks left. Okay.
We have 3 picks left. I'll tell you, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. A lot of players people haven't heard of. Why don't we do this for here? Why don't you pick a player that you can quickly tell us about here, and I'll let you pick the player you want to take here. But maybe someone you think we haven't talked about that you think we're taking here, and give us just like a quick 20-second who they are and why we should know about them.
Is James Empey available? The center from BYU?
I bet he is. There he is.
Developmental center, backup Rodney Hudson. This is where you draft a backup center, JP. This is where you do that. This is where you do that. You don't draft a backup center in the first round. Big brain. I'm taking James Empey here.
Let's not take shots at JP as much as tell us why James Empey. What do you like about James Empey?
He just fits. He fits the scheme. He fits the scheme. Okay. Not to hate on JP because sometimes his argument gets on my nerves, but we need a backup center. He's right about that. We need a backup center. But I'm not taking one that early. I'm taking one here.
So what is it about MP that you like?
If I can get on my draft profile before.
So he does seem to grade reasonably well, right? Didn't play a ton of games, right? But he grades pretty well on a couple of things, right? Pass blocking. So yeah.
Honestly, just developmental center. It's really not difficult. I like him in the quick up tempo type of offense that we love to run. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but in our system, we're not really a power run team unless we're in short yardage.
Right.
So, and honestly, he's just going to be on the bench all year unless Rodney Hudson gets hurt. So that's a win. Just develop him for a year or two. When Rodney Hudson moves on, you stick him in at starter and see how it works out.
Yeah. B Red C Red said cornerback. So why don't we do this? And then
I think we
probably
should do that.
let's take a cornerback here. Which cornerback would you take amongst the ones that are on the board here?
I can't really see.
There's not a ton of them, but
yeah, let me add. Oh, I see Buster Brown. Monteric.
That's who you want to take? Okay.
Yeah.
6'1", 190, redshirt senior, graded reasonably well. Good against the run. Okay.
Really good at man coverage from the tape I saw.
And Arkansas plays some good teams. So, look, they now
Arkansas was trailing Burke's fun. Yeah. It's not like they're complete nobodies.
He played against Texas, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Auburn.
Did he play in the Bama game?
Alabama.
Yeah, he played the Bama
Penn
game.
State. And he graded better against some of these than others, but he didn't.
He graded that well against LSU.
Yeah, 63.4. So I like this. I think this is a good late round flyer. So let's take him.
And then we all know what this pick is. We all know what this next pick is.
Yeah. And then we're gonna go ahead and we'll take Matt Ariza because we want it to be official, an official TCR.
It has to be official.
Right. So the official stamp, even if it's not realistic. So Jabo, Pierce, Strange, Chandler, Dale, Empey, Brown, Ariza. Okay. That's our mock draft. And PFF thinks it's a B, but of course they don't know what they're talking about because Matt Ariza makes an automatic A+.
Automatic.
So, right. So yeah. So all right. So that's our mock draft. We went over. We did the mock drafts in here. We together. We went over everyone's mock drafts. Had fun with that. And we have gone almost an hour and a half. So we good length, right? And not as long as last week. Right?
Last week was like 2 hours. So yeah. But yeah. I mean, it's always great. It's always great being here.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So here we are, kind of at the end here. Make sure you're following Corey's. He's got a Twitter handle down in the description below. Make sure you follow him.
CT Cards fan, because I am a Cards fan from Connecticut. Don't ask me why. I'm here. Just be happy I'm here. I could be a Patriots fan. I could be a Lions.
Right. So, we're glad you're a Cardinals fan. So make sure you follow him on Twitter. My information is below if you aren't already following me. Hopefully you're subscribed to the channel if you're watching this. Any last words before we head out?
Shout out to the channel members before we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put that up and definitely make sure we get that up there. And I definitely appreciate the support. From all the channel members.
And join the Discord. I love everyone in the Discord, but we got to get more people in the Discord.
I mean, it's a healthy group. I mean, there's almost 100 folks in there now. There's probably 20 or so of us that are kind of active on a regular basis. But there's generally conversation every day in there. It's not a dead Discord, that's for sure. I've
definitely not. We talk every day, every hour. We talk all the time.
I've been in bigger Discords where there's no conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm in bigger Discord servers with no conversation.
Yeah, so it's a good group. So, all right, well, listen, Corey, thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do to help prep this. I want to thank everyone in the chat. Look at that, Simon. He'll get Discord just for us. Awesome. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, you'll enjoy it in there. And Simon's channel member has been a great support of the channel for a long time, so appreciate you. So I want to thank everyone in the chat who's been here. Mock Draft Monday is always a lot of fun for me. I think you guys enjoy it too, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you for submitting your mock drafts. Information is below in the description if you want to know how to submit yours for next week. But other than that, we're gonna get out of here. Have a good night. Eduardo, Renata, thank you, John Corey. Share your night with us next Monday. We'll be here again. Have a great week. Hey, we appreciate you being here, Eduardo. We look forward to it. Mock Draft Monday. It's the best night of the week, even though it's Monday. All right. Well, I'm gonna
best go Mondays ever. Mock Draft Monday.
That's right. So I'm gonna go and put the channel members thing up just to kind of thank and acknowledge all the folks who support the channel as channel members. So we're gonna put that up and then we'll head out. So peace, everyone.